Welcome, everyone, to TJ and the Grumpy Old Man, a sports podcast where we shoot the shit and talk sports, Grumpy. I'm your host. What are you shaking your head for already, Grump?
It's talk sports and shoot the shit, not the other way
Talk
around.
sports and shoot the shit. I'm your host, TJ, and with me again, as always, is the Grumpy Old Man. They say there is no shame in his game because he is always the same.
That's me.
What the Grumpy? How are you, my friend?
Wonderful. Thank you. Yourself?
Oh, man. I feel like I say this every single podcast. When I say every single podcast, I mean every single podcast. But, buddy, a lot of sports news. A lot of sports news.
So I've been informed by you.
So you've been informed. First off, I want to talk to you a little about what is going on in Houston. Deshaun Watson looks to be on the move. Again, it seems like things are heating up. I heard rumors that he could be gone off the Houston Texans as early as this week. A trade could be made. It could be done here the next few days.
Well, it's certainly going to be this is reported by John McClain, who is a very well-respected Houston sports writer. He's got his ears to the track. He's been doing that beat for 40 years. Earlier in the offseason, they asked him if there was going to be a trade done before the regular season, and he said, no, it doesn't make any sense. Now he's saying that's going to be done within, potentially the next few days. And like I said, if anyone knows Houston football, it's John McClain. So I'm saying there is validity to this rumor. Who is it going to be? Who's they going to go to? The same cast of characters involved, right? You have Denver potentially, Carolina Panthers, or the Miami Dolphins, who should be the front runners, honestly.
Yeah, well, let me ask you this. I know you mentioned the Miami Dolphins. Let's break those down team by team, Grumpy. If we're thinking about the Dolphins, does a switch from Tua Tagovailoa to Deshaun Watson, does that completely flip the script for them? Does that go ahead and make them a playoff contender? They've struggled so far this season. They have, no doubt about it. Does bringing in Deshaun Watson, does that alone right the ship for the Miami Dolphins?
I think it turns their season around. At 1-5, I don't think you're making the playoffs, but you do want to get them in your system. But what's the bigger ramifications, honestly? It tells you that Miami was never sold on Tua Tagovailoa. I mean, that's what it tells me. They don't think he's good enough. Deshaun Watson, let's be honest, he's a top 5 quarterback in the league when healthy, when he's playing.
Oh, well, yeah, past the allegations.
Right. That's what I was just going to say. He still has those allegations hanging over him, but the NFL hasn't suspended him. And I would think if, you're trading for him, you have to have some assurances from the NFL that he's not going to have to sit out the rest of the year.
Yeah, I could tell you one thing. I mean, I wonder what happened too, right? Did they go ahead and reduce the price? Did Houston reduce the price? That's what it maybe has to be, because now I'm seeing a flood of teams now that are inquiring and very hot on the tracks of Deshaun Watson. It makes me have to think that there is some sort of drop in the price tag of Deshaun Watson.
Or maybe teams are they're looking at their quarterback situation. They're seeing there's nothing in the draft this year, and they're desperate. I mean, he's 25, 26 years old. The kid is in the prime of his life, and he's really, really good. Allegations aside, you never heard anything negative about Deshaun Watson, before the things that happened, but he's not been an off the field problem ever. He's been, somebody who's done a lot of community work. And I think that's really something that teams look at. They must have had some type of positive response from the NFL and their investigation. That's all I can say.
And before we jump too much further into the Deshaun Watson situation, remember, this is a sports podcast. Again, we talk sports and shoot the shit. It happens every single Thursday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and every single Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So the best way to make sure you don't miss out on any of the action is by subscribing on YouTube, liking on Facebook, and following on Twitter.
Yes. And we should actually mention that probably right at the top of the show.
Yes, absolutely, Grumpy. I forgot. What can I say here? We got to it. I think regarding Deshaun Watson, yeah, you're right. Besides these allegations, he never really had issues before that. That also being said, I feel like there had to have been some sort of drop in the price. My reasoning behind that is we're seeing a whole bunch of teams now that are all of a sudden hot. The iron's hot regarding them trading for Deshaun Watson. That also being said, right, I see like this influx. I don't think it was like at 1 week, right? Just magically for week 7 of the NFL, all these 3 or 4 teams that are hot on Deshaun Watson magically have come to the same conclusion of, hey, let's all make a move for him right now. I feel like the price had to have been a little lowered.
Well, it's also the first time that Houston has acknowledged that, yes, we're going to move him, because they've been saying all along that they were not going to trade him. This is the first time that they're saying, yeah, we're willing to move him now. So you're seeing that movement. I mean, I know previously they were asking for like 3 number 1s and a couple of number 2s. They're going to get they're going to get a pretty good haul for him. I mean, you just don't trade a talent like that in the prime of his career and in a manageable contract that you're not going to see, somebody get a big take, even with the allegations against him.
Well, here's the thing, Grumpy. I mean, those allegations are serious, right? You talk about that could be a long-term hindrance for certain. If you wind up giving up 2, let's even hypothesize maybe 3 first-round picks, Grumpy, and he comes back and they say, oh, you know what, these maybe are true. Or maybe one of these, you get found on that maybe they find some validity in one of these allegations. You could be looking at a multiple-year suspension.
Well, I don't know, but the fact that the NFL hasn't suspended him yet is good news for Deshaun Watson and whoever's trading for him. That much I can tell you. If they were going to bring the hammer down on him, they would have done it already. It would have made everything easy for Houston, but they have not done that thus far.
So let me ask you this. You said you think that the Miami Dolphins are the best fit, right? Because Tua would go the opposite direction and they would go ahead. They've got a lot of draft capital, and hell, they're not very great with their early picks anyway. So they're able to offload some of that draft capital and bring in a legitimate quarterback. You say, hey, that's a good fit there. Now, if you're thinking second and third best fit, are you thinking it goes Carolina and then Denver?
Yeah, I'm saying Carolina. Here's the thing. I like what Matt Rule has done this year with Carolina. First year was a little bit of a struggle, trying to get his culture instituted there. This year, they've been much better. They have a strong defense. Remember, he played college ball at Clemson, which is right down the road from the Panthers. So that would be a good fit also. And I heard as of just a couple hours ago, they're hot for him. So it all depends on what you can offer. Miami should have pulled the trigger last year. That's what they should have done. They didn't. And, they've just managed to bungle their quarterback situation the last number of years, not drafting Herbert, drafting Tua, and then not making a move, even though I can understand it to a certain extent for Watson. But they had so many draft picks that they wound up just really blowing on B-level players that it wouldn't surprise me at all if Carolina could jump in there.
And again, and I will say also, maybe the trade deadline approaching so quickly has got the majority of these teams also inquiring about Deshaun Watson. Now, we talk about the Panthers. That's a team. I know you talk about the fit, right? He played college ball there at Clemson, not too far away from the Carolina Panthers. That also being said, the Panthers have shown this year that they're willing to make moves to try to make themselves, more of a contender than they are, right? This offseason or last offseason, they trade for Sam Darnold. Was it a 3rd-round pick? I know he had early success against some lesser teams, so I was like, let's, as much as I want Sam Darnold to be, a successful quarterback in the NFL, I said, let's go ahead and hold back a little bit with all of the jeer and the praise there for Sam Darnold. He's looked, mediocre at best here in the last 2 or 3 games. So he's looked human. That being said, I did find some of these quotes here, Grumpy Old Man, out of the Panthers camp quite interesting. I'll go ahead and show these here for you. They said, now the big noise I've heard over the past 24 hours from the Carolina Panthers. I spoke with someone last night, and we spoke about Deshaun Watson. This is a person in the know, and they told me that the Panthers will do anything they can to acquire Watson. They will pay any price to acquire Deshaun Watson.
Well, what does it tell you? You were the big leader of the Sam Darnold bandwagon earlier this year.
No.
Oh,
I was
yes.
not. Grumpy, I even said I'm happy Sam Darnold's doing well. I said it's against lesser competition, though. So let's go ahead and taper some of those. I think I used the exact verbiage of let's taper some of those expectations you have for him based off of these first few games. I think verbatim is what I said.
I think your words were he's a top 10 quarterback.
Bullshit.
He's the man.
Bullshit. Well, I said he's better than Tom Brady. I think I said that after it. I said I think Sam Darnold's going to go break every single one of Brady's records.
Well, that's another miscalculation on your part. But, for Panther fans, I mean, wouldn't you want Deshaun Watson over Sam Darnold? I know I would. But then you have to say, what is Houston happy enough with Davis Mills, what they've seen from him so far this year? And, Tyrod Taylor has been injured, but you have to be excited if you're Houston about what you've seen from Davis Mills if you're going to make a deal like this and you're not getting a proven quarterback coming back, because Sam Darnold isn't the answer. Neither is Tua Tagovailoa. They've proven that they can't play in this league. And, are they pleased enough with Davis Mills to go through with this deal? That's the big thing for Houston.
Well, I think Houston said we're not going to play him. Maybe they see the situation differently than some of these other quarterback hungry teams do, and they say, "Screw it." We have no chance and opportunity to go ahead and to resurrect this, Houston Texans team. It's kind of in. It all started with good old Bill O'Brien trading away DeAndre Hopkins for a second round pick and David Johnson. Now, if you really tick the clock back, that's where it all started, grumpy old man.
Well, I think I think it was even more to it than that.
What do you mean?
I think that their front office has been in a state of flux since Jack Easterling came over from the New England Patriots and had a little power struggle, which he eventually won. I think it's been a dysfunctional front office for quite a while now. And eventually, O'Brien initially won that struggle, but then wound up losing his job, wanted to play himself out of there. And then now you're seeing Easterby is kind of in charge there. And even with Nick Caserio coming on, what's it like there? I mean, I can't believe Caserio must have really wanted to get out of New England to go to that toxic Houston situation, to be honest with you.
Jeez, man, I'll tell you. Don't disagree with those points, Grumpy. And now also I popped up on screen. You might see that talking regarding the Carolina Panthers, right? It's not like they have an excess of draft capital to make this move. You look at it. I mean, the Miami Dolphins definitely have more draft capital to pull, the trigger on an item like this. Yeah, the Panthers are without a second and a third round pick in the 2022 draft already. So I don't know what type of offer they're going to throw out there on the table. They seem vehemently that they want Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson is their guy.
And then you also have to feel that they feel pretty confident in the rest of the team that they have built already around them, since they have no draft capital, that, okay, for the next 3 years or next 2 years, we feel confident with what we have on the team that we can improve and compete.
Yeah, I'll tell you, though. I mean, you look at the defense is stout. That defense, no doubt about it, is one of the better defenses in the league. I would even put them on borderline top 10 defenses in the league. And the biggest issue they've had is, right, when Christian McCaffrey's been out, Sam Darnold has looked less than impressive. So, I mean, Christian McCaffrey helped kind of, hide and conceal some of the issues that, Sam Darnold has back there, quarterback. So to bring in Deshaun Watson in, I think just raises everything up. And I mean, Robbie Anderson's another guy who had a monster season last year. And since Sam Darnold's been quarterback, he just hasn't been able to get integrated in the offense.
Well, but he's been dropping the ball all year, Robbie Anderson. It's not been a good year for him. He's been targeted, and he's just not coming down with catches. I'm not saying that Sam Darnold is the answer there. I don't think he is. But Robbie Anderson just had a bad year. Now, you mentioned about Christian McCaffrey. When you have Watson over here, even when McCaffrey's not playing, he minimizes the sacks that Sam Darnold is taking, the lack of decision-making. You can really fluster Sam Darnold. You don't see that with Deshaun Watson. I mean, he's an established top-line NFL quarterback, and he has that mobility to boot. And imagine I know they're salivating, thinking, okay, we have DJ Moore as a wide receiver, we have Robbie Anderson, and we have Christian McCaffrey in the backfield with Deshaun Watson. Those are some pretty good weapons for him to play with.
For certain. And again, like regarding this too, right? We've talked about the Panthers. We've talked about possibly the Miami Dolphins. I've even heard rumors that there might be a three-way trade and the Broncos might be looking, for and in on the Tua Tagovailoa sweepstakes. So there might be a three-way trade in some capacity to where the Broncos walk away with Tua. And I assume that the I assume that Houston's going to walk away with even more draft capital.
Which is even more mind-boggling. We think where Denver picked in the draft this year, they wound up trading out of that spot. They could have had one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the draft, and they chose to go with Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock. And I don't understand that. If they weren't good enough last year, what makes you think that they're going to all of a sudden get better? Drew Lock has been terrible. Teddy Bridgewater is nothing but a stopgap. You were picking in the top 5. Why are you not drafting a quarterback? It's the same question I have with the New York Football Giants. The same exact thing. Daniel Jones is not the answer at quarterback. You were in a prime spot to pick one, and you chose to go another direction. And now you're seeing, I don't think Daniel Jones is cut out as an NFL starter, certainly not a top-level NFL starter. And I just wonder why, fans wonder why these clubs are always, the same bottom feeders every year. It's because they don't know how to draft and they misevaluate talent. And that's what you're seeing in Denver and you're seeing with the Giants.
Now, and I'll say it's funny because you always see conflicting reports, right? Some people on Twitter are saying, oh, yeah, Denver's definitely in on a new quarterback. Denver's in on Tua. Denver's in on Deshaun Watson. You see other guys saying, oh, definitely not in. So it's very interesting. Right now, you're seeing definitely a lot of conflicting reports. And, you always wonder where the actual truth lies.
Like I said, when John McClain says Dolphins deal with the Texans for Deshaun Watson could go down this week, that tells me they're the front runner.
Okay. Gotcha, grumpy old man. That's definitely important to take away. So, again, you don't think if the Dolphins were to pull the trigger, they bring in Deshaun Watson, could they go ahead and, make a U-turn, make a 180, and somehow find a way to squeak into the playoffs or into a wild card spot? Do you think that could be in the cards?
I just don't think they could turn it. He doesn't know the offense. So, I just don't think he'd be able to turn it around enough to make a playoff run. Not from 1-5. I just think there's too many teams in front of them. You got Kansas City, who's 3-3. They're not even qualified for the playoffs as of right now, if it were today, right? You got to figure they're going to right the ship somehow and make a playoff push. I just don't see it for this year. That said, there are other problems in Miami as well. Brian Flores, as great, I think he's an excellent coach. I don't know if he's lost the team or not. You can't lose to Jacksonville. All I know is you can't lose to Jacksonville, and the manner that they lost to them is just kind of unfathomable.
Yep. I agree with that. The loss to Jacksonville was hideous, man. I'll tell you. Oh, if you're a fan of the Dolphins, that blow had to be really, really tough. Oh, man, now I wanted to talk to you about, kind of shifting gears here a little bit, grumpy old man. Did you happen to see UNLV has a new slot machine on their sidelines, grumpy old man, and they do it anytime they have a big play, anytime they score a touchdown, and they'll go ahead and do the 702. Just take a guess how much this slot machine costs UNLV.
If it's more than 10 cents, it's too much.
$60,000.
How stupid. It's just beyond stupid.
Well, I think about asset allocation, what they're going to do here with the money from donors, what they're going to do with the profit they have on the team, with their budget, etc. And I think to myself, hey, always improving facilities is important. You see some of those gimmicks, right? Like University of Pittsburgh has like a hoop that they, throw a little slam dunk in, and a lot of teams have, the U has, the turnover chain, and a lot of teams have those gimmicky things to get the players excited. And now this, right? UNLV there for Vegas, items like that. Hey, we're going to go ahead and have a slot machine. $60,000.
Okay, I don't know how much it costs to go to UNLV for 4 years, but I want to say that's probably a college scholarship they could have offered somebody. Just a regular student could have been given a college scholarship as opposed to a silly little slot machine, which they probably could have got some discount one right down the street from somebody on the strip. They could have just given them, hey, take these. They're out of style. They're whatever. take this. They didn't have to go out and buy one for $60,000. It just
Well,
shows you.
they didn't go out and buy one. I assume this was custom made, Grump.
Yeah, like I said, why? I think about how much money that college athletics makes, where you can just blow $60,000 on a slot machine to put on the sidelines.
And I love it too. I love it. They say, hey, this is a 700-pound slot machine and it pays out every time. It only cost them $60,000.
Ridiculous.
Oh,
just ridiculous.
I'll tell you. I mean, hey, maybe it gets everybody excited, but geez, Louise, you couldn't have found something a little cheaper. I couldn't imagine UNLV making huge profits. I mean, like, I'm sure, the college football team, they're making a profit. That being said, come on. Ooh.
These are the same schools who don't want any gambling affiliated with anyone in college athletics. And here they are putting slot machines on the sidelines of a college football field. Do you smell the hypocrisy here? I know I sure do. I just find it's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous and it's stupid. Maybe that's just a society we live in now, but it's like, you got to be kidding me. Where's the substance? I see a lot of style, but I don't see any substance.
Let me ask you about this now. This is a comment made here by Don Martindale regarding Jamar Chase. He said, if he came out of the lab, he would be a mix of Deshaun Jackson and Odell Beckham Jr. And again, very early in Jamar Chase's career. Now, what do you think about that, Grumpy? I think personally, I think Jamar Chase is, again, Odell Beckham has his issues in his prime. The guy could really create separation like nobody else. Again, been very injury prone as of late, but in his prime, fantastic at that. I think Jamar Chase is more of a one-trick pony, right? He gets deep downfield, has blazing speed, and is able to create separation deep downfield. I don't feel comfortable in his route running ability short routes, that is, Grumpy.
Isn't this the same guy who couldn't see the ball earlier in the year because it wasn't the same as the college ball? Didn't have the stripes on it, so he couldn't see it. Dropping everything, dropping his dinner plate, dropping his lunch plate, dropping a dime on his teammates. I don't know.
Well, he was dropping balls earlier on this season. That's for certain. Again, it was on preseason, but during the regular season, he's been fantastic. I think maybe a little. I mean, people forget Deshaun Jackson. I think he'll have a more successful career than Deshaun Jackson. That being said, right? You think about success. I think he'll have more receptions, more receiving yards, more touchdowns. I think that's definitely possible. Deshaun Jackson, though, at his best, come on.
Well, the game has changed a little bit since when Deshaun Jackson first started.
Yeah.
Now it's throw on first, throw on second, throw on third down. It's a throwing game. So, it's changed a little bit. Odell Beckham Jr., I always thought he was overhyped, honestly. What do you think about Odell Beckham Jr.? Do you think that, he's the greatest wide receiver ever, or he runs great routes, or he's a great teammate, or do you think he made the one-handed catch against Dallas?
I think about that one-handed catch he had. I think it was Sunday evening against the Dallas Cowboys when he went ahead and pulled that out. That's what he's known for. That's what he'll always be known for. That being said, again, when healthy, he creates separation, short and intermediate passes, and he can. Again, Odell Beckham Jr. is a guy who can get a short pass and a short route. He creates that little bit of separation. He could burn a defense for an 80-yard touchdown when they're all yards after the catch, all yak yards. When I think Jamar Chase, I think of a guy who makes, a 50 or 60-yard catch, and then he's able to go ahead and carry it maybe the extra 15 or 20 yards because there's a blown coverage on the defensive side. Again, it's really early for Jamar Chase. I think he's going to be a successful guy. I just don't think that's a good comparison. That's all.
I'm not going to put Jamar Chase down. I think he has looked good. I don't mean to put him down. I just don't think this is an apt assessment as to what his ability is and what his traits are. My whole thing is it's just the way it is today, right? Guy plays 5 games in his NFL career, and all of a sudden you're comparing to all-time great receivers. I don't know. I just, can't we just pump the brakes just a tad? Just a tad. Maybe a tiny bit. Alexander saying, hey, guys, good evening. Hey, Alexander. He said Jamar Chase is the real deal. That's for certain. Again, I think he's a really talented wide receiver. And
it's funny. I was talking with Grumpy about this off air for the Cincinnati Bengals. It is really, really, really funny. It's like they don't have enough ball to go round in Cincinnati. I mean, Tyler Boyd before this season was a guy who was consistently putting up 1,000+ yards every year, having a plethora of catches, really was a good, producer, right? He's a captain on the team. This year, he's been relatively invisible because, right, we're getting all of our targets to T. Higgins. We're giving all of our targets, to Jamar Chase. We're giving the ball to Joe Mixon to feed him enough. And, Tyler Boyd is the odd man out.
Well,
Pro Bowl wide receiver, Tyler Boyd, the odd man out. Think about that.
okay, but he's certainly third of those three receivers. He's been around the league for a while. T. Higgins had a great rookie year. Jamar Chase has that instant chemistry with Joe Burrow because they played together in college. And you want to get Joe Mixon involved in the offense. You don't want to be a one-trick pony offense. So the fact that he's being utilized more has made them as a team better. And that's what you want. Unfortunately for Tyler Boyd, he is the third option on this team. And Burrows feels more comfortable going to Higgins and Chase and mixing out of the backfield. I mean, it's a shame, but that's just the way the NFL is.
I misspoke. Tyler Boyd, not a Pro Bowl caliber player, did not make the Pro Bowl. That being said, Grump, here's the thing, too, about the Cincinnati Bengals. You're not going to like this. I think Joe Burrow has not taken the step forward I expected him to take this season. I'm not saying he's doing a poor job. I just had higher expectations for him coming off an injury.
They're playing a different game this year. He's still not even a full year removed from tearing 3 ligaments in his knee. So I tend to give him a little bit more rope than you seem to be. I mean, he was hurt, like week 10 or 11 of last year, I think. I mean, it was later in the year, and he's already back, not even a full year, and he's performing. And they're running the offense is a little bit different. They're 4-2. So they're better than they were last year. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not about fantasy league stats and individual stats. It's about wins and losses. And they've been better this year with wins and losses. Good for Cincinnati. They're a team that I like to root for because they've been down for so long.
I expected Joe Burrow to be really something, all that and a bag of chips. That's for certain. I mean, again, when you're talking about, hey, he's not that far removed. He's still 25 years old, right? This is a guy entering and getting ready to go into the prime of his career. It's not like he's okay. You see some quarterbacks that exit college and are 21, 22 years old. Joe Burrow's 25 right now, right? He should be competent enough. You should see him putting up. I really honestly believe with the weapons he's got there, right? You think about Joe Mixon is an excellent running back, and he's a great pass catching back. I mean, you look at Mixon when he's healthy, he's a top 10, top 15 back in the NFL. Jamar Chase, fantastic wide receiver. Tyler Boyd, a very good wide receiver. And T. Higgins, another very good wide receiver. They have options at tight end, like with Uzama. I was really just expecting him to put up fantasy, video game-esque numbers this year. I was expecting, hey, with all the weapons he's got at wide receiver, with the weapons he now has at running back, he's going to put up great numbers. Again, the offensive line is leaving something to be desired in Cincinnati, and we knew that was going to be the case. They passed over Penei Sewell, and they say, hey, we're instead going to prioritize Jamar Chase. So,
well, you just named the reason right there. Their offensive line was hideous last year, and it's not much better this year. And remember, I think he played 10 or 11 games this year. He's basically at the end of his rookie year. I mean, I don't know. I think you're being really, really hard on him, considering he tore 3 ligaments in his knee towards the end of last year.
How many ligaments did he tear, Grumpy?
3.
3, huh?
ACL, MCL, PCL, tore all the L's, all the CLs. I mean, it was a bad injury.
Oh.
And he comes back, ready to play on week 1.
Okay, it had been almost about a year since.
And his team is 4-2. Where last year, what did they end up being? Like 4-12, 5-11. I mean, they were not a good team last year. And
him obviously hurt. But that being said, again, I mean, I'm just saying I'm expecting him as the year to go on. I want to see improvement. I want to see better production for the weapons he's got. Again, I know the offensive line isn't there, something they desperately need to address. I thought they needed to address it this offseason. They didn't do a great job, and they desperately need to next season. I mean, to take the real next step. D-Cut saying the Three Amigos member Philip Tomasino scores tonight. Where's Casper? See you boys on Saturday.
I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. You know who else scored last night for St. Louis?
Who was that?
Vladimir Tarasenko.
Oh, Vladdy Tarasenko scored a goal. No way, Grump.
And 7 shots on goal. I guess that shoulder's holding up. I mean, he's had 4, 5, 6, 7 shots a game. So I guess his shoulder's holding up. That's a blunder on Lou Lamoriello's part.
Well, we'll see. We'll see as the year goes by.
Particularly if you see the way the Islanders playing offense right now.
Alexander says Cincinnati, I think, could be real. It could be the real deal.
I don't think so this year. I don't think so.
Hold on. I thought you just said they could be the real deal this year. I thought you
I'm rooting for them. I said I'm rooting for them. A team that's been bad like that for so long, I naturally root for them. I have no animus towards them any way, shape, or form.
Animosity?
Yeah, no animus. Nothing.
Okay.
So, I mean, Baltimore is the best team in that division. They're second best. Everyone looking at Cleveland. Well, looks like Baker Mayfield's going to be out for a while.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. You talk about bad luck for the Cleveland Browns. Again, we'll talk a little bit more about all the injuries they have because they have so many injuries, right? But Baker Mayfield fractured his humerus and on his non-throwing shoulder, and also has a torn labrum in that left shoulder, the non-throwing shoulder as well, Grumpy.
Yeah. So he's going to be out for a while, right? And then you have Nick Chubb is hurt.
Well, yeah, let's talk about Baker Mayfield. We'll go through all the injuries the Cleveland Browns have. Trust me, I've got it written down. I've got a little presentation for that, Grump.
Okay. And Case Keenum is your starting quarterback. I know they're playing Denver today, and I know they had a 10-0 lead. I don't know what the score is right now. But when they play better teams, that's going to be a problem for them. Case Keenum is not the answer at quarterback.
No. I mean, have they given a timetable of how long they expect Baker Mayfield to be out yet? Because I wasn't seeing anything immediately. Because this is just, you talk about brand new news. This was coming out here like 2-3 hours ago that he's got this fractured humerus. So, this happened 2-3 hours ago. I haven't seen any timetable as to when they expect him to be back.
Yeah. We just knew he wasn't going to play today. I don't know if he can play through that or not. I don't know. But it's a problem.
Again, I'm seeing here the 31st for the game against the Steelers. Those were comments that were made before we knew the news. So maybe he's known for a while, hey, he's got that broken humerus. I'm not sure if that changes, the picture and the timetable. All I think about is, players that come out with these overly ambitious statements, right? Christian McCaffrey comes out there and says, this is 2 weeks ago. Hey, I hope to be back. And he's placed on the IR and he misses, he was hoping to be back. And based off of the week he hoped to be back, he's 4 weeks at least removed from that. So, hey, I hope to be back on week 5, I think it was. A week, maybe 4, week, maybe 5. He can't be back until week 9.
Right. I think it's going to come down to pain tolerance for him since it's his non-throwing shoulder, and they might have to strap him up. And their line's going to have to do better. He's going to have to avoid – it's going to limit his ability to run because you don't want to expose that shoulder to more damage. They're in a tough spot right now, Cleveland. And a lot of people, they were a dark horse for a Super Bowl this year. And I just don't see it.
You talk about the injuries, Baker Mayfield. You've got Nick Chubb, that's out. Odell Beckham Jr. Jarvis Landry is still out. Jake Conklin's still out. Jadeveon Clowney, Myles Garrett's out. The names go on and on.
Laundry list.
And on.
That's what happens. It's a physical sport.
There always seems like every year there's one team that just has the injury bug, and it's like they've got like 15 to 25 starters or 15 to 25, guys on the active roster that hit the IR. And it looks like, the Browns are going to be that team this season.
There are a lot of teams who have injury problems, right, every year. And this year, like I said, it seems like a lot more guys are hurt earlier. Maybe not out for the year, but just injuries that are keeping them out 2 or 3 weeks. I just think the injuries are higher this year than they have been in the past. Maybe they haven't. Maybe it's just my delusional mind thinking that, which is entirely possible, honestly.
Oh, grumpy. So yeah, again, that's a team where they need to get healthy and healthy in a hurry. If they could pull off a win against the Broncos tonight, I don't care how they do it. That's a huge win for the Browns, and hopefully you start getting a few individuals healthy. But man, oh man, that's a team where you're right. They were a dark horse maybe to make a Super Bowl run after the additions they made this offseason. And you just look at how many big contributors to that team are injured. I mean, Kareem Hunt, I don't even think he's on the list. Kareem Hunt also is out as well. So, I mean, I don't even think he made this list here that we're talking about the players who are out. And Njoku, Kareem Hunt, man, oh man, so many different players out for the Browns. You know, a team that needs to get healthy in a hurry, definitely the Browns. Now, what's your opinion, grumpy old man? On Nick Saban?
I think he's a really good college coach. I think he's a really good college coach.
How about him as a person?
I think he's a really good college coach.
How about him as a person?
I think he's a really good college coach.
How about him as a person?
If you can't decipher that, I can't help you. I don't think
I feel like he gets branded like an asshole sometimes. And again, I'm not sure. I don't know enough of Nick Saban, but I do think you'll find this kind of funny or cute. Again, he seems like he can roll with it a little bit. I like this little back and forth exchange they have. I'll let you listen to it, Grumpy.
Guys in the middle of the defense normally are that's sort of.
First off, can we talk about this?
I'll tell you what. The kid looks just like the dad. That's your future, kid. Look at it.
The kid is cute. That being said, I mean, you could tell. Oh, he was in a rush. Didn't have a chance to comb his hair.
I have a question for you. You know you're going on a Zoom call. You know you're being seen. Why don't you pretend like you're a professional? Shave, comb your hair, put the kid down.
Well, okay. The kid was crying. The mother wasn't home. You'll see it here. The question I have, okay, at least could have run a comb through his hair. That's for certain, right? Could have showered, could have run a comb through your hair. But
he could have given the kid a little thimbleful of Benadryl just before the press conference, so he wouldn't bother him.
Okay,
a lot of things he could have done.
Come on, Grumpy. I'll let you listen to it. I think the interaction is cute. Okay, but I do see this. I'm like, oh man, he should have run a comb through his head. Should have took a shower because I think this is in the evening, based off of the lights all being on. I think this interview they had was more towards the evening. But I'll let you listen to it, Grump. I like the interaction between the reporter, and I thought it was really, really good by Nick Saban. So I'll let you listen to it.
But as especially called the defense, that's sort of a leadership role. How was that for Henry To'oTo'o this year, coming in as a first-year player at Alabama, and how has he sort of progressed in that role?
Well, I have a question for you, first of all. I mean, did I finally get to meet the boss?
I apologize. My wife is not home yet, so I'm having to pull dad duty.
Well, this is the best behavior I've seen you on since I've been here. Obviously.
I apologize.
No, you don't have to apologize. I mean, I if this is the way it's going to be, I'd like for him to be there all the time.
Again, I look at him as a little bit of an asshole, or could be viewed as an asshole. It's good always to see the human side of some of these guys who are, again, you talk about the pinnacle of a college coach. He's at the pinnacle, and a guy who's branded a little bit as stern, maybe a little bit of an asshole, and could be a little rough. It's always good to see a little bit of a different side of the individual as the person.
He reminds me a lot of Bill Belichick, where he can be charming and engaging when he wants to, but he could be a real jerk also. And that's to answer your initial question, which I was trying to play with, and you didn't get it. So
no, I did. I just wanted to keep hammering on, like, hey, what'd you think of him as a person? He kept saying he's a good college coach. I wanted to keep hammering on it too, because I thought I don't know, Grump. I thought it would be funny.
Yeah, didn't need to. When my answer was that, in response to it, you should have known what I thought about him as a person. He's a good football coach. So now, obviously, he's probably had some testy interviews with this guy before, and that's why you know that they've had interaction before. It has, and just by his comments, you could tell that's an easy interview. The guy wasn't going to ask him any tough questions. He had the baby; he could play it off, And when you're winning all the time, it's easy to do things like that. If you're not, it's more difficult.
I know. I just thought it was nice to see. The human. I thought it was nice to see the human. Oh, I'm sorry, Grumpy old man.
Oh, what's the matter? You didn't put your phone on silent or vibrate?
No, Grumpy. I had an update to my phone, and then this happened. So what can I say? What a film saying Cowboys, Tampa Bay, NFC Championship. That would be a great game.
It wouldn't be good for you, would it?
Why is that, Grumpy?
Because he's a Cowboys fan.
Are you saying?
I think Tampa would beat the Cowboys much more easily in a second matchup. There were a whole bunch of Tampa mistakes and penalties, which they're trying to clean up now. And I don't think Dallas's defense is that good. You got to remember all the injuries sustained by Tampa in that game. I think it would be a good matchup. It would be fun to watch, but I think Tampa would come out on top in that.
Okay, Grumpy old man. Fair enough. Fair enough. I'll tell you, it's a long way until an NFC championship game. I'll be interested to see what both of those teams do before the trade deadline. I'm not sure if they're just going to stand pat or if they have any ideas where they would like to improve on, right? You look at Tampa, they do have a lot of injuries to the defensive side of the ball. I wonder if they try to make a trade to go ahead and bolster their defense. And, the Cowboys, I mean, Trayvon Diggs has been everything you could imagine, albeit, right? He has been getting, I think they might be overhyping him a little bit. I get it. He's had like 7 or 8 interceptions so far. I've seen a lot of those bounce off of receivers' hands, and Trayvon Diggs happens to be the recipient of a bounced ball right into his hands or right into his chest. So I think he's been a recipient of a few lucky interceptions. But hey, interceptions nonetheless.
Yeah, I'm not putting Trayvon Diggs down at all, but you can beat him with double moves. Right now, he's so aggressive playing the ball and that's how they scored on him right after he had against New England. He had the pick 6. The next play they ran a double move on him and he just blew by. Kendrick Bourne blew right by him. The safety took a bad angle and that led to a 74-yard touchdown, and Dallas had to come down. I mean, talk about the Patriots. The Cowboys tried to lose that game as best they could. They had almost 600 yards in offense. How many times they turned the ball over inside the 5-yard line in that game?
Well,
I mean,
you talked about that. You thought there was going to be a blowout. I also want to address, I thought it was going to be a blowout last Thursday evening, the Buccaneers against the Eagles. I really thought the Buccaneers are going to put their foot on the Eagles' throat. The young coaching staff of the Eagles didn't have enough time to prepare, and I really thought it was going to show. I was wrong, right? That wound up being a game that came right down to the end of the wire.
Yeah. And it was fun to watch. But Belichick made some really, really questionable decisions. Your team is now they're 2-4. They were 2-3. The only teams they've beaten are the Jets and the Texans. You had a chance to go for it in overtime in 4th and 3, and you decide not to. You punt it. You knew you were going to lose there. You just knew you were. You had to score and possibly score a touchdown to have any shot of winning, and he weaned up on there. He's learning what life is without Brady. That's what he's learning. You realize his record without Brady is the same as his record was when he was in Cleveland.
Does that include the Matt Castle year as well? Probably not.
I don't know.
I was about to say they had 10 or 11 wins that year too. That being said, John P said, "What's up, gentlemen? A point's a point. By the way, still waiting on the grumpy old man size. I'll get that to you. 2XL, Grumpy says. 2X. Thanks,
yes.
Grumpy. Well,
here's the thing, John. We obviously can't count on TJ to produce shirts, to get sizes, to do anything when it comes to anything that's a tangible merchandise product.
Ah, goodness. Hey, we're in the works, Grumpy. We're in the works.
Thank you, John. I can't wait to get a Greyhounds shirt, sweatshirt, whatever.
And he'll wear
I will represent without a doubt.
Alexander saying Tampa will destroy Dallas.
I don't know if they'll destroy them, but I think they would win.
Stephen Porter there saying, "Go Steelers." Oh,
the Steelers suck. The Steelers suck.
I was about to say, man,
they need a quarterback. Big Ben is toast. They're sorry. Sorry, Stephen.
Alexander here saying, "I think Diggs will get better. I'll put him there up there with Champ Bailey."
No, Alexander. No.
First ballot Hall of Famer. We're talking a few games into this guy's young career.
You're doing what TJ does. A guy plays 2 weeks and he's a Hall of Famer, and I'm like, pump the brakes. It's way too early.
I was about to say, I've said before, and I'll say it again. I live in the central, the central zone. So I get to watch
Time zone.
all. I live in the central time zone. I get to watch all of the Dallas Cowboy games. And again, Diggs has been good, second year guy. I thought he's really come onto the scene here huge this year. That being said, I think a lot of his interceptions have come with fortuitous bounces his way. Again, not trying to take anything away that he's done, but I think the 7 interceptions, when you look at the stat line, might be a little misleading. I don't expect him to be reeling in 7, 8 interceptions on a year-by-year basis.
No. I mean, I remember the year that Lester Hayes, who played for the Oakland Raiders when they won a championship in 1980, he had 13 interceptions one year. And, he never made the Hall of Fame either. And he was a really, really good cornerback for a long time. Used a lot of stickum. He was a guy who overcame tremendous stuttering issue. And I always appreciate people who can do something like that, overcome adversity and battle things like that to become successful. And he overcame stuttering, and good for Lester Hayes. But I remember him, number 37 for the Oakland Raiders in 1980. He had 13 interceptions, and the stickum was up and down his arms. That's probably why he had 13. The ball, his thing, if they had the magic gloves like they do today, he could have made just as many interceptions.
Oh, grumpy old man. Stephen Porter said, nice shirt, Grumpy. How's the Brady bandwagon treating you?
I'll tell you what, it's doing fine, and there's more room for you to hop on, Stephen. Seeing that you're a Steelers fan, I know you want to get off of that sagging engine. Come on to Brady land. Don't worry. Plenty of room for all. Only if you want to be a winner, though.
Come on to Brady Land. What a film's there saying also, I've struggled getting used to the team post Tony Romo, Witten, and Elliott seems more disciplined now, and Prescott is a solid guy. I was about to say, Prescott's a guy you can't root against. Dak Prescott, that's for certain. The story he's had, even back during the Mississippi State days, it's a heartwarming and touching story. That's for certain.
I think Dan Quinn deserves some credit. The defensive coordinator kind of helped their defense along. Still, the system that he plays, if they have to play Tampa, that's a problem for him because Tom Brady's picked that Tampa scheme. That Dallas scheme, the Dan Quinn, when he was with Seattle, when he was with Atlanta, and when he's with Dallas. He's picked that apart consistently. But Dak Prescott has righted the ship. He's that stabilizing influence. The big problem is I don't think your coaching staff is real bright. Mike McCarthy, I'm sorry. I just don't think – I think he can hurt your team. Coaches don't win games, but they can lose them for you. That's for certain.
As you always say, that is for certain, grumpy old man. John P. said, thanks, grumpy old man. Gear will be on the way, although it's by UPS, so it may take a while. Or USPS, so it may take a while.
My gosh. United States Postal Service. Thank you, John.
I'm sorry, Grumpy. I know you used to work for the USPS, so I'm sorry. Maybe I touched a hot button issue for you.
It's the fact if you don't know what the letters stand for, don't say there's something else.
Grumpy, do you have to take that when you joined the USPS? Did you have to take an oath?
No, but I know it's USPS, not UPS. They're different.
I know they're different. What can I say? I made a mistake, Grump. What do you want from me, huh?
Don't make mistakes. I want perfection out of you.
What can I say? Nobody else. Nobody can be as perfect as you, Grumpy.
That's true. Alexander
said, what would you guys compare him to talking about Trayvon Diggs? Which player? Here's the thing. I wouldn't compare. When I think of Champ Bailey, I'm thinking of a guy who's a top 10 corner of all time. If I'm thinking in recent time periods, maybe like if he continues to perform. Remember, Aqib Talib used to be a really good corner, during his prime. I think about a few guys during their prime. I think Talib was an excellent corner. I think,
Talib could tackle as well. He's not a great tackler. He's a gambling cornerback. He's a ball hawk. That's what he is.
Ball hawk, Grumpy.
And it's working for him right now. Like I said, double moves. He's going to have to get better in some of the nuanced points of the game. He's just not there yet. But that said, he's been fantastic this year. I think he's had an interception every single game.
Yes, he has. 7 interceptions so far this season through 6 games and up to week 7. So again, hey, power to him, right? He might, if that somehow continues, he might have one of the best seasons and corner in the history of a corner. That being said, I'm a little bit more hesitant. I think again, he's again some fortuitous bounces, but I mean, as of recent time, maybe Talib. I'd be tough even saying, hey, this guy could be a Patrick Peterson-esque type player. I mean, Patrick Peterson, you forget during his prime was a hell of a player too. I'm not saying that Trayvon Diggs can't. He's just young and it's tough. It's tough to evaluate him, and especially compared to future Hall of Fame players. I mean, Patrick Peterson's a guy that probably be making a Hall of Fame, wouldn't he, Grumpy?
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. He was good for a few years, really good. But Hall of Fame, I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, is Ty Law, is he in the Hall of Fame?
I think he just got in the Hall of Fame. Ty Law could tackle too. That's one thing that a lot of these cornerbacks don't do is tackle.
Yeah, John P. saying Revis. I was about to say Revis Allen, he's going to be a guy, another Hall of Fame player. So, I mean, like a lot of these corners we're thinking of, again, you always think of the best, but those are Hall of Fame corners for certain.
People stop throwing at Revis.
Oh, here we go. It's funny. I didn't even see this comment yet, Alexander, but he said, I've had the ability to watch so many great corners in my life. Ty Law, Champ Bailey, Sam Madison, Patrick Surtain.
Well, Patrick Surtain, he's a rookie this year, so we'll see. But I mean, right now, I wouldn't even put him in the class of Sam Madison. Sam Madison was really good too. I mean, he was and he's not a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
I mean, and he was a really good cornerback.
Lauren G said, should the Patriots re-sign Cam Newton?
No, Lauren. Sorry. What is she playing an instrument? Is that a saxophone?
It looks like a saxophone, Grump.
Oh, man. She's more musical than I am. Oh, I know. And I don't know if you've heard me sing, Lauren, but it's not pretty.
Oh, Stephen P. also saying, why wear a tank top with no muscles?
Oh, woo, wah, big bang, boom, Stephen Porter.
I do it to put on the facade that they have muscles. That's what I'm hoping for, that maybe people don't see the lack of muscles.
Maybe you should wear like one of those Gaston shirts, where they put in the fake muscles.
Oh, man. Alexander said, no, his dad used to play for the Dolphins.
Yeah, I didn't think his dad was that great.
Him and Surtain and Madison. Mike M saying regarding bringing in possibly Cam Newton back to the Patriots. No Cam Newton.
He's done. I like how Cam Newton now, he wouldn't get vaccinated before. And now all of a sudden he thinks that's what's keeping him out of the NFL. So now he's got vaccinated. No, Cam, I hate to tell you, it's the fact that you can't throw the ball anymore. I mean, you're just not any good anymore. That's why you're not getting a job in the NFL.
You want to know the funny thing too, Grumpy?
Facts are just hard. Facts are hard for some guys.
Well, I didn't want to jump ahead changing sports, but did you happen to hear the Evander Kane situation? A little information about Evander Kane. Man, grumpy old man. He faked his vaccination card and now is serving a 21-game suspension for the San Jose Sharks. I know the rumors were, hey, he faked his vaccine card. Nothing was officially ruled before just on the 18th. So, since our last podcast, they officially ruled that, yes, it was a fake vaccine card. And yes, he's going to serve a 21-game suspension. I know we said, man, oh man, it seems like the guy can't get out of his own way, but God almighty. I don't know what's, if you don't get the vaccine, like I don't know. Did he think they weren't going to check up on it to see if it was real? And how badly forged must it have been that, immediately the NHL realized, hey, this isn't a doctor. Doctor killed patient. That signature doesn't look like it's valid.
I think they're punishing him for all the other things. I think they're just piling on. I don't like the fact. No, I'm not saying he should have lied. And my stance on the vaccines. I'm vaccinated, but I don't think that you should be punished for not being vaccinated. I don't believe in that. Whatever they come up with, whatever rules they want to, mandates, I don't know. But here's the thing. Evander Kane's not hurting anybody but himself, honestly. So, I mean, I don't know why he would have done that. He had so many things go wrong with him this offseason. At what point do you say, maybe I've gone too far with trying to cover up or do whatever?
So I was about to say, I think that's a good point, right? You look at this offseason, he gets the allegations. His ex or estranged wife goes ahead and says that he's gambling on games. That's taking fire. You know what I mean? He was taking fire all offseason long for that, all offseason long. And the icing on the cake, he says, okay, I'm in a little hot water, whether it's right or indifferent, whether she's lying, whether I'm right, we have no idea. I'm sure the truth lies somewhere, always in the middle. That being said, on top of this, he says, yeah, let's just go ahead and fake this vaccine card. I don't want to get the vaccine, but I know I need one of these, and the team's putting pressure on me to get it, so I'm just going to fake it. I'm just like, oh,
Yeah,
I'd rather you would have said, hey, I'm not getting the vaccine card than fake it and then had this 21 game suspension. So let me ask you. So if I assume he's going to be able to play after this. I don't know if he's changed his vaccination status or saying, hey, I'm not going to get vaccinated. Now he's got to serve a 21 game suspension. I mean, like, what realistic? I mean, some teams are making players sit out. So I have no idea what's going to happen with this. We might see a situation where he has to sit out because he was also docked because of the 21 game suspension, $1.24 million. So it hit him in his pocket too.
It's tough to gamble when you have no money. Eventually those markers come due. So that could be it too. Like I said, at what point in time do you say, first it was, I never gambled on hockey. Then it was like, well, yeah, I got a gambling issue. It's tough. And at
I've
what
never
point?
gambled on my own games. Then he backed it up. No, I've never gambled on my own games.
Yeah, dude, if you just come clean, people will forgive you. But when you lie and try to cover it up, it's never a good thing. Here's the thing. His teammates don't even want him back. That's the biggest issue that he's going to have is nobody wants him. They don't want the distractions on the team.
I loved how he tried to shrug that off like, oh, no, I think those things are being overblown. I haven't heard anything like that from our teammates. I mean, what do you think they're going to tell you straight up to your face? Hey, we don't want you back. Get the hell out of here, Evander Kane. No, they're not going to say that. And
he's had problems everywhere he's been. Every place he's been.
I cannot wait for the 30 for 30 on Evander Kane. Because I promise you, there will be one of the makings once the Evander Kane saga dies down. I mean, there's been so many twists and turns. His story is an interesting one that I cannot wait to see heavily documented.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely grumpy old man. Alexander saying, Grumpy, do you think Surtain was that good in his day?
I thought he was okay. I don't think he was.
Surtain was that good in his day?
I thought he was the dad. I thought he was okay. I mean, I don't think he's certainly not Hall of Fame caliber. I mean, he was good, but there's a lot of good cornerbacks. Did Alexander state it first? Yeah, Alexander stated first. Thought he was with Champ Bailey. Patrick Surtain was not Champ Bailey. Champ Bailey's an all-time great cornerback, Hall of Famer.
I think he's a top 10 corner in all time. I mean, you look at the longevity he had in his career, right? Fantastic. I mean,
Michael Haynes was fantastic. There were so many good cornerbacks. I don't see Patrick Surtain and not Diggs at this point in his career, just way too early.
When I think of Champ Bailey, I put him in the same class of guys like Charles Woodson. That tells you how highly I think of Champ Bailey.
Yes.
Mike M is saying he never went through a progression, talking about Cam Newton. He was a hot route, period.
Okay, here's Cam Newton. Great athlete, fantastic football player, horrible quarterback. He was never a good quarterback. Everything was predicated. He was completed passes and stuff like that, but it was all predicated on his athleticism, his ability to run. But Mike is 100% correct. He couldn't read a defense. If he was a blind man, he couldn't read a defense with Braille. I mean, he just could not read a defense. Just couldn't. Still can't to this day. They had to dumb the offense down. Mac Jones was able to pick up that offense and was teaching it to Cam Newton this year after Newton had been in the system for a year. Think about that. A rookie coming in, teaching a 10-year veteran
the play
about plays on how they're supposed to be run. That tells you all you need to have a Cam Newton. Finished.
We'll
take a chance on him. Cam Newton, wear your silly little costumes. Be on your way.
Lauren G said, will you go back to being a Patriots fan when Brady retires, or are you only a Brady fan? # traitor.
Oh, I still follow the Patriots. But I am Brady number one. Brady all the way, for certain. All the way. I just love the way he plays the game. I love the way he carries himself, and I respect greatness. And that's what I respect in him.
Alexander,
Football will be much more fun to me to watch when he's not playing. When I have no real rooting interest, it's much more fun to watch the games.
Alexander saying, I agree with you, TJ, on Champ Bailey. Thank you. And then John P said, Grumpy Old Man, T-shirts, sweatshirts, headgear, or I know people. What do you want, Grumpy?
Surprise me. I wear anything.
Oh man, give him a little sweatband or something like that. That'd be funny.
I don't wear sweatbands. Come on,
Because I feel like you wouldn't wear that. That's why I said get it for him.
now I'd wear a hat, but I wouldn't wear it on the show. I don't wear a hat on the show. I want people to see my hair, particularly the bald people who listen to this podcast.
Mike M said this entitles the bearer.
Speaking of bald people who listen to this podcast, who was that? Mike M. Let's hear it.
Mike M said this entitles the bearer of this document to be vaccinated.
There you go. See?
And he also said, Mike M said, Pete Rose was never forgiven.
Fans have forgiven him. Major League Baseball, maybe not. But here's the thing, he lied about it too. He lied about it for a long, long time. That said, why was Pete Rose not getting the Hall of Fame? He was not getting in as a manager anyway. He was getting in as a player.
I tell you, that thing has always driven, that Pete Rose situation has driven me insane. And I and everybody freaking knows as soon as Pete Rose dies, they will put him in the Hall of Fame. They do not want to give him the satisfaction of him knowing he's in the Hall of Fame. That guy's statistics are first ballot. He gambled on his own team. It's not like he was betting against the team he was managing. He was gambling on his own team.
But the logic was
to win. What?
The logic was if he was the days that he wasn't betting on his team to win meant that the gamblers would figure, okay, he didn't figure his team had a chance of winning that game. And that's why he didn't put
all these professional sports leagues are in with gambling now. The NFL's in with gambling. It's only a matter of time before the MLB is going to be advertising gambling open.
And then,
on all
the hypocrisy takes over full force, right? You're seeing it in every single sport. They don't want it gambling. That's the big one, but they're all in bed with the gambling organizations. I just find it funny how the actual leagues could be involved, but the players can't. I mean, I just find that, like I said, these leagues are just freaking greedy. That's
all about the money. All
they care about. That's all they care about. And Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame, period. And the sentence of the story.
What a film saying after Bill Parcells quit, the Cowboys forgot how to hire a good coach. Jason Garrett, what an idiot. And he does not like McCarthy.
Garrett, well, here's the thing. Let's give Jerry Jones credit. He's given everybody quite a long rope. I think Campo was there after Dave Campo was there for a number of years after Parcells, and Jason Garrett was a good offensive coordinator, not great, but good. He didn't translate to a head coach, but gosh, I want to say he was there for almost 8 years, wasn't he? And I just don't think McCarthy is that great either. I agree with you.
Alexander saying Evander Kane is a freaking moron. John P. also saying Kane has multiple issues. There is where there is smoke, there is fire, or where there is fire, there is conflagration.
Conflagration. Let me tell
John
you something.
P. with you're educated beyond
That's
mine.
John. That's John. He's showing off his intelligence again. That's a TJ move, John. I'm going to tell you right now. Using big words like that.
What can I say? Hey, I give him one-upmanship here.
Hey, John, when you're dealing with me, you got to speak small words.
I couldn't even tell you what that word means. That's one of those SAT words I didn't learn, right? When I was looking through all the SAT words, that was one of the multiple ones. I was like, what's the likelihood of that popping up? Very low. Very low.
Don't worry. John's going to probably send us something showing all the plaques on his wall. Which are impressive. I got to say, they look good.
Hey, he'll leave us a definition.
I know. John's a smart guy. We know he's a smart guy.
John P. also said shoeless Joe Jackson should be in the Hall of Fame.
True.
And then Mike M saying the refs supplement their salaries with their corrupt calls. Hey, it's happened. I really wonder how often that does happen where it's like, hey, miss a call here, Hey, think about how easy it is by where they spot the ball.
So easy.
Nobody pays attention to a yard or a half a yard or a few. Nobody pays attention to that. And I say all the time, like, what the hell is that spot?
I just find it mystifying that people think through all the years of all these sports that, except for Tim Donaghy, no official has ever bet on a game. Really? Okay. But these players, the couple of players that get caught, they burn them at the stake. But so there's only a couple of people in the history of all sports have ever bet on their sport. I don't believe it. They haven't been caught, but that doesn't mean it's not happening.
Conflagration is how it's pronounced, I believe. Conflagration. Learn to pronounce noun. An excessive fire, which
extensive fire.
An extensive fire, which destroys a great deal of land and property. Well, there we go. I learned something today. Mike M also saying all-time point shaving always.
Yeah, in the NBA, they had the New York City University scandal where guys were getting paid to shave points. I mean, okay. I just find it funny that every NBA game comes down to the last 2 minutes. Isn't that kind of interesting? Team could be down by 30 points last 2 minutes, within 2, within 3. I just find it funny.
I find it interesting indeed as well. Stephen Porter says thoughts on Justin Fields in Chicago.
I like him.
Okay, I was about to say I like him too. I know the stats haven't been there. I know the production hasn't been all that great, but I see glimpses, right? It's all about seeing glimpses. The same exact. I see glimpses when I watch Zach Wilson. I know the stats might not always be great, but I see glimpses.
Right. And here's the thing: Chicago is not they're a run first team. They got their starting backs injured. He just has taken over the team from Andy Dalton in the last 3-4 weeks. It's just about growth for him. I mean, he's a rookie. And you have to, if you're a Chicago fan, you have to be pleased with what he's done. The only type of fan that wouldn't be pleased about what's going on in the sport right now is a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, because they kept Big Ben making who knows how many millions of dollars for years after year after year, and he's finished.
Oh, the Big Ben gone, finished, done. What a film said. Yeah, I think the NFL refs are asked by the league to influence games.
I firmly believe there's makeup calls all the time.
I believe that's across all sports. Hell, you even heard what NHL referee was hot mic'd. Hey, I was trying to go ahead and get them a penalty. You know, I was trying to go ahead and penalize them earlier on in the game, but this is the earliest time I could do so. It was like a hideous, tripping call, or a slash. I can't even remember what the hell the call was, Grumpy. Do you remember the situation I'm talking about?
I remember when they fired the guy, immediately put him on suspension, whatever it was. It was the end of his. It was the end of his career. I'm like, please. You think that's the only guy who thinks that, who's ever said that? And if he wasn't caught on a hot mic, they wouldn't have done anything, because everyone knows that that's what officials do in every single sport. They know when they blow calls, so they do a makeup call. It happens all the time. All the time.
For certain, Grumpy old man. For certain. I tell you, it's I do remember that. It happened right at the end of his career, and I just always think that's so funny. Hey, I wonder if that affected any type of anything else he had going on, the fact that he was canned. Now, John P. Has got an updated picture of the wall, Grumpy old man.
He just showed the wall last night. Is it more? Holy crap. You know what? Is that I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the one in the bottom right corner is. I don't know what that is.
And a whole bunch of grids and boxes on it. Surely more degrees, surely more paperwork than I've got on my wall. That's for certain, Grumpy.
Yeah, I got a couple pictures on my wall.
John,
hey, John's a smart guy. We know that.
I
get to tease John about how smart he is going forward.
I think it makes for a funny little quip. That's for certain.
So.
I want to ask you this. Grumpy old man. They come out with MVP favorites, right?
Wow.
Pro Football Focus does. I know it's early in the season. Matt Stafford, Patrick Mahomes, Patrick freaking Mahomes. I don't know what these are based off of. Certainly not performance. Maybe thought process. Maybe what the odds are. But there's no way in hell Patrick Mahomes, based off of performance, should be anywhere near this list. And Kyler Murray there on the list.
Okay, you're 6 games into the season. That's a third of the way in, a little bit more than a third, and you're calling for MVPs. Okay. Patrick Mahomes, how many interceptions this year? Regardless of what his mom says, that ones that bounce off a player's hand shouldn't be Patrick Mahomes interceptions. They should call it something else.
Be a fumble or something. If it hits off of hits off a teammate's hands and becomes intercepted, that shouldn't be an interception. They're talking badly about my poor boy, Pat Mahomes. He doesn't like being called Pat either.
He's not even in the running for MVP, Mahomes. No. I would say Kyler Murray. I would say
Stafford, maybe.
Who?
Stafford, maybe he's put up good numbers, but I mean, there's no Brady on the list. I mean, there's been a lot of
Brady,
Eric Henry.
Rodgers.
Eric Henry, no Rodgers, no freaking way, no way, Rodgers.
Okay, he's 5-1. He's done the job for them.
Okay,
I'm just saying, it's certainly not Patrick Mahomes. That much I can tell you.
Alexander.
Kyler Murray's team is 6-0.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, hey, if you win a lot of games, usually that automatically puts you in contention there for an MVP. Alexander said, guys, this whole Watson thing is a load of crap. It's coming from Houston's side because they're desperately trying to unload him. It's too risky for the Dolphins to trade for him. Tua actually played a very good game versus Jacksonville. I believe Tua can be as good as Herbert.
Oh, Alexander, I don't know. You better check your carbon monoxide detector in your house because some of the things you're saying tonight are just crazy. And I know you're smarter than that. Tua, it will never be Justin Herbert. He doesn't have an arm. He's got that little noodle that he just doesn't have the hose. Sorry.
What type of noodle? What type of noodle, Grumpy?
Little elbow macaroni. Nothing. He can't eat. No. I'm going to tell you. I'm here to talk you down off the ledge, Alexander.
I think this is the case too here. Now, I think they definitely are interested. I think these teams are interested. And the funny thing is about it, right? You look at all those allegations. What are they? 22 allegations. I'm still shocked that he was not suspended as this was going down. I mean, it's a lot of allegations, right, wrong, or indifferent. Usually the NFL wants to try to avoid being marred in the public image. And you want to know one thing, as soon as Deshaun Watson, if he is traded, as soon as he starts playing again, the NFL will start receiving more backlash. People don't forget, you're going to start seeing a whole bunch of social media campaigns. The NFL is going to let a guy who's got 22 accusations, right, wrong, whether they're right, wrong, or indifferent, true, false, doesn't matter, going ahead and playing. I can't believe this. It's only going to be a matter of time before they do something. I feel like you're going to see that case intensify too once he starts playing, if he does start playing again.
Like they did with Antonio Brown a couple of years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Same thing. They want to punish players. They wait. They bide their time, and they'll punish them in their due time. That's what the NFL does.
Man, I'll tell you.
And as far as Tua looking good against Jacksonville, okay, the Jacksonville who won for the first time in 20 games. I mean, and he was okay. He wasn't great. He still threw a horrible interception in that game. I just don't think he's got the arm. I don't think he's bright enough. I mean, he even admitted that, doesn't really know the offense. I'm like, really? Really? That's your job, bro. You got to know that. You got to know your offense. But the biggest thing, his arm isn't good enough. He's too small, he's frail, and his arm isn't good enough. It was a bad draft pick.
Alexander saying, how do you guys measure a quarterback? He said Herbert is only good because of his weapons. Keenan Allen. You've got Williams. I mean, he's had an outstanding season. Guyton and Eckler. I mean, you put Tua there, he succeeds. I will say Tua would be better. Tua, I think, definitely would be better than what he is in Miami. I think the offensive line for the LA Chargers it's the LA Chargers now, right?
Yes.
The LA Chargers.
You can call them San Diego if you want. I still do.
I almost slipped up and called them San Diego just based off a habit. But I think the Chargers offensive line's better. But yeah, and the weapons are better there too. But that being said, I think Herbert's one of those guys you can put in on a lot of different teams. You can put him just about anywhere, and he'll show signs of, yes, this is a guy we can build around. Even if the weapons weren't the greatest, you would still see a lot of moments of greatness. Where again, I think Tua at best is more of a game manager. I'm not saying. I just don't think he's got enough to elevate his game to where he could take hold of a game and let's say he throws for 450 yards and 5 touchdowns. I don't feel like he's got the ability to do that.
His arm isn't good enough. He's got a hump on every throw. I'm sorry. I just don't believe in him. I know you do, Alexander. That's fine. But, at the end of the day, I'm right because I always am. Don't feel bad about that. It's okay. But here's the thing. You look at Ryan Fitzpatrick playing for Miami last year. Who was better? Ryan Fitzpatrick was way better at the quarterback position than Tua Tagovailoa last year.
It's like when I look at quarterbacks, I have a lot more scrutiny for quarterbacks than I do any other position. I mean, offensive line, just because I was that, but I have a lot of scrutiny I give to quarterbacks. It's like when I see Taylor Heineke for the Washington football team, I go and think of myself, I'm like, okay, this is not the guy of the future. All you're doing is trying to prolong, put a few more W's on the board. This is not the answer. Taylor Heineke is not the answer for the Washington football team. When I see the Carolina Panthers, Sam Darnold is not the answer for the Carolina Panthers. When I see a lot of those teams, I say, okay, this guy's not the answer. I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks that are out there that I feel like are not the answer. Very few quarterbacks that I feel like are the answer in a situation. It's why quarterbacks have such a short shelf life unless you're extremely successful.
Yeah, not everybody gets to play at a championship level till they're 44 years old.
You're funny. You're funny. What a film said, showed my kids a Charlie on your podcast last night. They loved it. They thought it was hilarious. My son is a fan of the show. He's looking for a mini shirt for his Shih Tzu so he can be on the show. Another Josh Bailey jersey, Grumpy.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-mm-mm.
Oh no. Yes, I know. I remember it well. That poor dog.
Alexander also saying,
think about how the other dogs around the neighborhood are laughing at him today. Because I mean, the dogs all have their Twitter accounts and stuff. They know. They look and I'm like, hey, Charlie, nice jersey.
Jeez. Alexander here saying, honestly, Tua, he said he didn't know the offense because he didn't want to throw his wide receivers under the bus. That's the kind of kid he is. Last year, our receivers. I will say one thing. Tua is a fantastic person. Again, I don't think it deviates, from what I think of him on the field, but another fantastic guy. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of really, really gem and great personalities as individuals. I think Russell Wilson's one of those guys. Dak Prescott's one of those guys. There's a lot of great people. I mean, you sprinkle in, there's a lot of bad people in the NFL, but there's a lot of great individuals too that do a lot of great things with, their platform.
I heard some negative stories about him when he played at Alabama. I'm just saying, from people who were with the program. That's fine. Like I said, I'm not throwing him under the bus. Here's the thing. He admitted that he didn't know the offense. And, now he's trying to backtrack. All I know is he's got guys wide open all over the field and he can't hit them. Or the ball's late. Or it's behind guys. He just throws a softball. And the biggest slam on him, they asked the Alabama wide receivers, who would they rather have as their quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa or Mac Jones? And to a man, they picked Mac Jones. I can't believe they actually said that out loud, but they did. And every one of them picked Mac Jones.
I'll tell you one thing. As a wide receiver, though, you could tell those. I mean, you're talking about Devontae Smith. You're talking about Waddle. You're talking about those individuals who recently came out.
The guys who played with both players.
You figured they would say something like, hey, they're both great quarterbacks. We won national championships with both of them. They're both fantastic. We love both Tua and Mac. You're making us a really tough decision. I love them both for different reasons. I couldn't pick one over the other. Boom. That's usually what you'd say. I can't believe they actually answered those questions. That was right.
The only thing they could have said that would have been more of an indictment against Tua is if they would have said, yeah, Tua sucks.
No, okay. I'm not going to take
I'm just saying if they would have said that, that would have been even more of an indictment.
And then what a film said, he's going for a Barzal jersey to make Grumpy happy.
Okay, that's cool. I mean, I think it should be a Barzal jersey also, but just think about you're damaging that dog's psyche with all of his little dogs around the neighborhood. When they all fill up at the water hydrant and go for a leak around the neighborhood, they're going to say, hey, what's with the jacket there, buddy?
Want to talk about a big story also, Grumpy Old Man. Ben Simmons, the freaking issue for the 76ers that will never go away, or seems like it's not going away anytime soon. Ben Simmons recently came out here and said, I feel like this team just hasn't put me in the right situation. Giannis won the MVP or the finals MVP without a jumper. I could produce at that level in a new environment that didn't cater to a guy like Joel so much. Joel Embiid, holy shit. Ben Simmons, take some freaking responsibility, my guy. Take some responsibility for your play. I've never seen a guy try to skirt personal responsibility more than this guy. Cam Newton even probably takes more responsibility than Ben Simmons did.
He fits right in this generation of athletes, though, doesn't it? Nothing's my fault. I've been coddled since day one. Mommy and daddy told me that I was great. And I'm great. I know I can't shoot a jumper. I know I can't hit a free throw. I know I'm a point guard and should be able to shoot the ball, but I'm not capable of it. I'm sorry, Ben Simmons. and what happened earlier, just for a little bit more background on this, he is suspended now from Philadelphia because the coach asked him to go in for a defensive drill, and he refused. He asked him again, he refused. He's like, go home. And then Joel Embiid, who is an infinitely better player than Ben Simmons, said, I don't care what this guy says. He's got problems.
Yeah, I feel like the bridges are burned. The damage is done. Goodbye, Ben Simmons. There's no way in hell that could be a good, long-lasting relationship. And the funny thing is, I'm seeing reports, Grumpy, after you see stuff like that, you cannot have one of the, you're dubbed as potential star players. I mean, Ben Simmons is still relatively young. You can't have him coming out there and shitting on the star. I mean, Joel Embiid is the face of that team. There's no doubt about it. When you say trust the process, you don't think of Ben Simmons. You think of Joel Embiid.
I just like how this guy is so delusional that he puts himself in the same conversation with Giannis. I mean, when was the last time you scored 60 points in a game or 50 points in an NBA final? When was the last time I mean, was it like when you were a kid? I can't remember him ever scoring 50 points. You want? Because he can't shoot.
Video game. I think he scored that on NBA 2K.
Probably when he was playing as Joel Embiid.
Oh.
He sucks. He sucks. He's a cancer. They don't want him anymore. He's gone.
Well, let me ask you about this, because now this has got me thinking. What actually is the situation? He said, this is what the Sixers president said. You're going to think I'm kidding. I'm not. This could be 4 years. Every day we're going to expect Ben Simmons to be back here, or we trade him for a difference maker.
Well, good luck. Who's going to want to trade for him?
I was about to
he fit, honestly, seriously, he'd fit on a team where you had Russell Wilson and James Harden, guys who all they do is shoot.
Oh.
But what do teams do? They dare you to shoot. That's what they did to Ben Simmons, and he was abysmal in the playoffs. He's why they got knocked out of the playoffs, because he could not hit a shot. I'm serious right here. I could shoot better than Ben Simmons from the outside.
Stop.
No doubt about it.
Freaking stop. No way.
Way better. Here's the thing. If I hit one, I shoot better than him, because he doesn't score at all from the outside.
I would pay to see you out there on the court.
You remember when he showed a video of him practicing hitting shots from the outside? It was from 5 freaking years ago. Why don't you show us now? What do you do now? Just sit on the sidelines and sulk because your coach wants you to play a defensive drill? He's a loser. What a loser. With a capital L.
This is a guy too where you had every opportunity. What did you need to do? You need to work on your ability to shoot free throws. You need to work on your ability to have a jump shot. You were excellent defensively. You're a really good distributor of the ball. There's certain things you do really well, but the items and the weaknesses of your game, for being such a high draft pick, you never worked on.
It makes your team easier to defend against. You only got to defend against 4 guys. It's like Josh Bailey being out there for the Islanders. You never have to worry about it.
On the power play for the Islanders. I don't have to worry about this individual.
Don't have to worry about that guy.
Doesn't matter where we are.
Same thing.
John P said, "Yeah, Ben is a disgrace," and Alexander saying Ben is an idiot.
Yeah,
I tell you, man, I tell you, it's something else. I mean, that's a guy. Again, I don't wish him bad, but I mean, man, oh man, he's got to take some sort of personal responsibility. Now, this is a draft report, grumpy old man, about Ben Simmons 5 years ago. Now you look at this here. This is a draft synopsis by some Jonathan. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name. Giovanni says Simmons' lack of competitiveness in crucial games has raised questions about his character. Those who know him best say he needs things to revolve around him on and off the court, and that he's often been closed-minded to coaching or instruction. Holy shit. I'll tell you one thing, Jonathan Giovanni, you could not have pegged this one more accurately.
Ding, 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 ding. You hit it right on the nose. Boy, if that doesn't, that's not him in a nutshell right there. How would you like that to be described you as a person? Lacks competitiveness in life. Got no character.
Everything has to revolve around you for things to be successful. Question your character. Yikes, yikes, and yikes.
Yeah. What a loser. What a loser.
Oh, jeez, Louise Grumpy, what a loser! I tell you, he's somebody that's got to work on it. That's for certain. He's got a lot of areas to improve on in his game on and off the field. But Jesus, or on and off the court. I'm sorry. What a film said. As a Canadian, I love the Raptors. Toronto can win an NBA championship. The Leafs haven't won a Stanley Cup in my lifetime. That was exciting basketball.
I rooted for the Raptors that year. I don't know who they played, but I was certainly rooting for them. And I think Kawhi Leonard was on that team, and good for them. I don't forget who they want. I mean, you know how much I pay attention to basketball, right? Not too much. But I do remember Toronto winning and Kawhi Leonard being part of that team and me rooting for them.
They played I think the Bucks, the Milwaukee Bucks. Oh no, that may be, no, it was that had to be the Eastern Conference.
Had to be a team from the West. It doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't matter.
Golden State Warriors.
Well, good.
Okay. There it is. Okay. I was about to say my brain's going crazy. I'm like, who the hell did they beat? Okay. Yeah. The Golden State Warriors in the finals. Man, oh man. Yeah, it's something else there. Those Warriors were a special team back in, back in 2017, 2016, those Warriors team were outstanding.
Yeah, they were for a few years. Very good.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking back through that. The away team won almost every single game but one in that series. Oh man, I'm not gonna get caught too much up on it. Mike M said, "Good night, guys. Good night, Mike."
Night, Mike.
Alexander said, "Guys, I really think that the Knicks can make a deep run this year."
I don't know about that. They'll be more competitive than they have in recent times, though. Good for them. Good for them. The league's better when the teams in the big markets are good. They really are.
Yeah, I'm looking at the roster. I mean, like I'll be interested to see how Kemba plays. And here's the thing too. I've always been a fan of Kemba Walker. I mean, even from his time at UConn, I've always rooted for the guy. And again, I know it didn't work all that well in Boston for him, and I hope he's able to get everything straightened out here, and he's got a better relationship here with the Knicks.
Yeah, I don't follow basketball at all. My interest in basketball is like zero. It's less than zero. It's a negative. I used to like it when I was a kid. The Celtics against the Lakers, I thought that was great, but not anymore.
Mike M saying, tough getting old, but at least I'm not as ugly as Grumpy.
That's a matter of opinion.
No.
I've seen you in person, and your wife told me too. I've stuck with this ugly guy. She knows it.
Alexander also saying, the Knicks, they did make the playoffs last year.
Yeah. Well, good for them. Good for them. Like I said, when the New York teams or the Los Angeles teams, the teams in the big market are making the playoffs and are good, it's always better for the league.
Want to bring this up because we talked about, hey, what else is lying underneath these emails? What else could be hiding as skeletons in these closets? Well, Congress is now seeking the documents and information from the NFL's investigation into the Washington football team. I will say I'm not a big fan of Congress doing this, kind of stay in your lane, but I do think the NFL just should release this information.
Okay. All I have to say is you can't get food on the shelves, gas is whatever price it is, and you're worried about the Washington football team.
Oh, no, I agree.
Get your priorities in order. That's all I get from it. Get your priorities in order, Congress. You got bigger fish to fry. Come on.
Yeah, I think there are bigger fish to fry. I wish they would focus on that.
And as you know, I'm not political at all, but come on, I hate it whenever the federal government wants to involve itself in sports. Stop it. Do your job. It's not dealing with a football team.
There's bigger fish to fry, but I do think the NFL should just release this. Hey, make it quick. Don't even have to worry about seeking those documents. Just
they came out and said those were the only. They said out of the 640,000 emails,
650,000 plus emails.
Okay, those were the only 3 that had anything. That John Gruden said those were the only 3 that had any type of inflammatory statement in it. Oh, please, just NFL, just keep your mouth shut. It'll go away. You got rid of Gruden. You got what you wanted. Just shut up. Don't make a statement like that when it's so patently false. Just shut up. Just dumb. The morons in charge of these companies. Just
Alexander saying, "Hey, Mike, enough with the grumpy jokes. I got grumpy."
No, Mike's cool. I've known him for a long time. We joke like that back and forth all the time.
Oh man, what if film said Larry Bird, Grump?
Yes, Larry Bird. He
I
was my
was for
man
fun
back
back in
then.
the day.
Yep, Bird, Parrish McHale, Dennis Johnson, Danny Ainge, Nate Archibald, Cedric Maxwell. Man, oh man, they were fantastic back then. And the Lakers were great too. Showtime, the Lakers, what a rivalry. Saved Magic Johnson and Larry Bird saved the NBA. Just to show you where the NBA was back then, they were showing the championship round on tape delay on CBS, like at 11:30 afternoon news. It was never on TV because no one watched it. Those two guys saved the sport.
Man, oh man, hey, it's great. I didn't know about that. I didn't know they showed everything on tape delay.
Yes. Yep.
God almighty.
Yep.
Stephen Porter said, was the Sean Taylor tribute a media cover-up for the scandal? For certain it was. We talked about it last podcast. I think it's just very coincidental, the timing of all this. Sean Taylor has been dead now for 14 years and just happens to be the same, or the week right after this is getting released, the week that this is all getting released, that we're seeing, hey, there's maybe some dirt here, the Washington football team. Hey, Sean Taylor. Hey, Sean Taylor's family. I know Sean Taylor's been dead for 14 years, but I'd love to go ahead and retire his number. Just happens to be coincidentally aligning here with some issues and a scandal in the media that involves our name. Hey, good time to go ahead and try to make a bad press story into something good. We're going to try to turn this into positive. Sean Taylor, come on out here. We're going to wheel Sean Taylor and his family out here. Sean Taylor, we're putting you up. We're putting your number up. We're retiring your number. It's disgraceful. They should have done that way longer ago. Oh,
and you should have played more than 4 years to get your number retired. That said, they also took some heat for, they rushed it. They didn't have time to prepare for it because it was a total reactionary move. That's what most of these teams are. All they care about is how they look, what's going to cost them money. That's the most important thing. And that's how they play. I mean, totally.
Alexander said, what's next? They'll find emails in Urban Stiff. My goodness. Urban Meyer started the whole email thing.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, they certainly, he's ecstatic with John Gruden because now the pressure was off of him because he was under the hot seat. And I still think he's gone at the end of this year.
For certain. Hey, for certain. I don't see Jacksonville winning so many games. I wanted to show you this. I thought was very interesting regarding Brandon Tanev, Grumpy Old Man, and I'll let you listen to it. I had no idea about this, about his story and about his life and his career. I'll let you listen to this here, Grumpy Old Man.
You were so small, I was reading, that you actually just took a year or two or maybe even more off of competitive hockey. Is that the case?
Yeah, I quit from 15 to 19. Didn't play competitive hockey. I mean, my brother and I were super late bloomers. I think my freshman year in high school, I might have been 4'10". My backpack was filled with all my books. It was probably half the size of me. And then we kind of late bloomers. I think my senior year in high school, I almost grew a full foot. So we were pretty small, and fortunate enough to get some opportunities and to be where I am, I guess is a good way to put it.
You were so small, I was reading, that you actually just took a year or two or maybe even more.
I'm sorry about that, Grump.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So I had no idea Brandon Tanev did not play hockey. He took the years of 15 to 19 off of competitive hockey.
Wow.
And he finds his way to the NHL.
Yeah, good for him. That's a good story. Really good story. I didn't know it either.
Fantastic story. Love to hear those type of successes. Just like, hey, Grumpy, anytime I see something like that, we always try to bring some good news around here too.
Always.
When I see something like that, that's for certain. Now, Grumpy, there has been some soccer news, Grump. I don't know if you haven't heard about it since our last podcast. Oh, let me pull this up. I'm sorry, I didn't have it pulled up. Grumpy, the World Cup is going to be occurring every 2 years, starting in 2026. Every 2 years, the World Cup. What are you about?
You're diluting why are they doing it? Money.
Fans want to see it.
No, it's about money. It's about money. I didn't hear any public uproar saying that we have to have the World Cup every 2 years. What's it going to do? It's going to hurt the play of leagues because, they use the off season, how many weeks it is, 14 weeks, to rest up, before the next season. Now they're not even going to have that. I don't know why, because then you're going to have the European Championships or the South American, the Copa America. They're going to have those every 2 years. So every summer there's going to be national tournaments. I don't get it.
As a fan, I'm excited for that.
Yeah, as a fan, but you know what? It's not good for the players, and it's all for money. It's all about money. Probably because they got popped. All those FIFA officials got popped for taking bribes, like bringing the World Cup to Qatar, and where are we going to get that money? So now we're going to have it every 2 years. Okay, well, that's good news, honestly, for the United States. I could see that coming to the United States way more often.
Alexander said, TJ, do you remember the tribute the Redskins did the first game back after his death? I do remember that briefly. But the biggest thing for me is if they were going to retire his jersey, it was a shame that they didn't do it long before then. We talked about it with Sam Mills. I mean, Sam Mills with the Panthers, for example, guy who had, a very, very and Sam Mills was a good player. He wasn't great by any stretch of the imagination.
No, he was a great player when he was in New Orleans. He was a great player.
Not for the Panthers.
No, but what was he with the Panthers? He was the linchpin of their first NFC championship run. He was, without a doubt, the leader in the clubhouse, and he was also a member of the coaching staff and a great member of the community. Sam Mills was different. He really was. And he'd been playing, 13 years in the league. No disrespect to Sean Taylor, who was a really good player, but I'm sorry, he only played 4 years. I mean, that's all he played in the league. He wasn't the best at his position even. I'm sorry, Ed Reed was way better than him. I don't understand. His thing, it was a publicity stunt to get the heat off of them. That's what they used it. And I'm sorry that they used Sean Taylor and his family in that regards to that. I do feel bad for his family. I do think they use them, and I don't like anytime people are being taken advantage. Because here's the thing, that should have happened. I know you and I disagree on that. I think his number should have been retired a long time ago. And if they wanted to retire his number, I just find the timing of this very, very, very convenient.
Very
convenient for them. Yeah.
Yeah. Coincidental. Let's put some air quotes.
Usually when you have a ceremony like that, you plan that in the off season. You say, hey, we're going to have the Sean Taylor retirement ceremony on, the 5th week of the year against blah, blah, blah. And they don't do that.
Oh man, it's blocked here, so we can't watch it. That being said, yeah, I do remember they played the game with 10 men. They did play the first defensive snap with 10 men.
Yeah. And he was a good player. No doubt about it. Terrible the way he died. Terrible.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. So we had that World Cup, Grumpy. I know you're not a big fan. Oh, don't like the big, I'm not a big fan of the World Cup being every 2 years.
No, I like the World Cup, but I don't think it should be every 2 years.
Now I got two more comments, Grump. Now I want to ask you about this. Do you think Messi and Ronaldo, their success and how long they've been successful here, do you ever think there's going to be a duo that will rival the Cristiano Ronaldo and Leo Messi? Or are they always going to be trying to pump and create some sort of, they're going to try to pump and create some sort of rivalry that comes close to this? Because I'm just not sure, right? They're trying to do that with Mbappe and Holland, and I'm just not sure if they're ever going to be similar to the rivalry that Messi and Ronaldo had.
Okay, what made the Messi-Ronaldo rivalry so great is that they played for the two biggest clubs, if not the two biggest clubs in the world, two of the top 5. Real Madrid's the biggest club in the world. And you could say that Barcelona is without a doubt, top 4? Yeah. I mean, and they played against each other every single year in El Clasico, twice a year, always battling out. And both teams were great at the time. And both the players were sensational. Both players in the top 5 greatest players all time in the history of sport. That's what made that rivalry so special. And the fact that they're still doing it, Ronaldo at 36, Messi at 33, is just incredible. Now, what did it say at the beginning?
It said that Messi.
They refused to let the next generation take over. No.
Messi and Ronaldo's longevity at the highest level is never going to be seen again.
That I agree with. But number 2, it's for the next generation to take it from them. It's not for them to relinquish it to them, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, these guys are they're all-time greats. They just are.
I think if Holland was playing for a different team besides Borussia Dortmund, he could be already stepping onto the scene.
Well, he'll be playing with Mbappe next year at Real Madrid. You heard it here first.
Yep, I think that'd be dangerous combo. It's unfortunate, right? The German league, you look at Lewandowski, he's an afterthought because he plays for Bayern Munich. He plays there in the German league. Now, I wanted to, on one last topic, Grumpy, this is about social media. Michael Arteta. He said he has warned has warned that some football coaches are being put off management because the abuse from fans on social media.
I don't. So they're mad with.
He's mad. He thinks that certain individuals, grumpy old man, he thinks that abuse on social media is stopping new managers from coming through.
Then I got to say they're really soft. Just ignore it. Ignore the noise. Do your job. You don't want to coach? Who cares? You're going to be based on your team's performance out there on the pitch. If you don't want to coach, if you're too weak to withstand a couple of trolls in the media getting on you on social media of that, it doesn't even matter.
I was about to say it comes with the territory. It comes with the territory. It's like it'd be like saying, oh, there's managers, the soccer managers haven't been coming up. A lot of people are afraid, take the next step and be the manager of the team because people write mean things in the paper. People say mean things. As a manager, that shouldn't even be your stratosphere. You should say, I don't care what, Joe Montanante is saying about me. I don't care at all. I'm here to go ahead and bring Arsenal to be the best club in all of Europe. That's what your goal should be, not even to pay attention to all that garbage.
All I'm saying is that if Ted Lasso was able to do it, so should Mikel Arteta.
Oh, looky there, Grumpy. I think that's a great way to wrap up today's show. Grumpy, is there anything else you want to say before we finish?
I just want to say love and laughter to everyone who listens and even those who don't, from TJ and the Grumpy Old Man.
Well, thank you, Grumpy Old Man, for being a part of the show again, as always. And thank everybody who listened and commented in. Again, we love interacting there with people. You're the lifeblood and the source that gives Grumpy Old Man and I energy for this podcast and live stream. So I do really appreciate everybody who tuned in, who commented, who talked again, and we were able to talk some sports and shoot the shit. That's for certain. So thank you again, Grumpy Old Man, and thank you everybody who tuned in. We're going to be going live again this Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. To make sure you don't miss out on any of the action, subscribe on YouTube, like on Facebook, and follow on Twitter. Thank you again, Grumpy Old Man, and thank you.